let's get this stream started. There we go. Everything is up and running. While the stream gets started, let's go ahead and let's grab a little bit of music.
I know you told
Copy. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Hi, Vapor. Now, this could be a very short stream or a very long stream. I don't know. I have an idea already in my mind of how I want to make this work. I just have to actually see if I can get it to work. Who knows? So let's say we want this to be... This will be 2. So this is 1, this is 2. Let's say this side we're going to do fragmentation. And this side armor piercing. Need a force load. So let's say we fire. What? Okay, I just messed that up. That's what I did. Fire. Now grab that one. toggle. Why did that one span the gap? Oh, because I hooked it straight to the end, not the blink. That's why. Still, there shouldn't be a round there. So if the loader is outputting and button is on, wait, I know why it is. Because the junction shouldn't be facing that way. It should be locked into this one. This is the armor piercing side. And then these should go here. If I switch, so right now I'm firing from the right side. Now I want to fire from the left side. I'm going to go back to the right side. And I want to see how quick I can make this. Normally I think it's 1.3 is what I can set a battle cannon to, but with the round not being at the cannon, it has to come from the magazine essentially to the cannon. I'm not sure if... Okay. That works. Let's see if we can do any slower. I think this will break it. Yeah, the round's locked. So 1.3 on my little timer setup is what a normal battle cannon would use anyway. Now, what I want to know is how many of these can I have before the cannon just like, yeah, no, I can't move that much. Okay, so that was at the perfect height where the cannon was before. So let's see if we add just a little bit of time to... That did not change anything. Let's just do 2 seconds, see if that gets it anywhere near the breach. Excuse me? Okay, this works. Are you gonna load? Gun? Oh. What, how did that get disconnected? The fuck? Okay, let's go back to like a 2-something second delay. Okay, so actual distance from the belt will be an issue. Hmm. I want to see if I can have a single driving belt. In theory, that way I could put the... Actually, I'm going to do it right now, just so I don't have to do it in a second. So, I need a junction belt. And then these go here. And we'll put frag on this side. What do you mean what happens to the round type that doesn't get chosen? Try making it one belt with So I've considered one belt with alternating ammo types, but if I want a round, I want to pick that round. One round with an I've seen someone make it where it's like a single belt with 2 ammo types and it pulls whichever one at once, but that's kind of complicated in my opinion. Okay, that worked. Let's see how many we can get this to travel. I'm going to go back to the standard 1.3 because that's what I would expect my cannon to run. Because that's what all my cannons run. That's kind of like the minimum time for the breach to open and close. Yeah, so the one that they had showed me wasn't about junction timing. It knew what rounds were in the chamber or were in the belt and would essentially have a programmed list of what ammo's in the belt, and every time it would cycle, it could index where it was and what round should be in that slot and pull that slot if it's the round it needed. So in the normal breach opening animation, it can move what? 1, 2, 3? So 3 belts and 1.3. Say 1.5, just so we have a round number to work with. See how many it moves in this. It's still 3. So if we do 2 seconds, IS2, I've explained why I have no XML multiple times. I will mention it once and only once for this stream. It's because it's not a part of the default game and it's something that requires external, like either external applications or external modifications of files, and as a result is something that can be difficult to not only monitor but could have unintentional consequences on the balancing of how we're doing things, because some people might not have good access to XML editing because it's not a default function of the game. Okay. Okay, so that does go 4. Basically, it's a mod. I don't want to do modded stuff because I don't want to exclude vanilla players. And when the idea is competition, having something that not everyone may have access to is a problem. Anyway. Because what I'm thinking is if I can do something sort of like this, and have a belt connector here, one here. Yeah, you could put a thing that when this belt connector gets something in it and then leaves it, because it's a single round going through it. So yeah, let's just do a quick little... Actually, I'm not going to do a quick little thing. Because it's only a single round that's getting let through, I'll do an actual controller for this in a second. That and a very small timer. Yeah, that would work. Or I could just run it until this turns on and back off again. Like how I never hooked up the force load button. So let's real quick just... I don't want to do that. I'm going to move this first. Oh wait, no, I can do that because I don't have the belt thing there anymore. Add input connector. I know that's spelled wrong. Even if it's typo now, I don't care. Length, add logic. So pulse. And instead of timer, we're going to do a toggle. Pulse. Is the pulse not a... There it is. So when the breach goes off, toggle this to load. If the gun is not loaded, I don't think any of this logic's needed with this now. So we don't need the timer anymore. So that's kind of null and void. So if the gun is no longer loaded, when it loses its loaded state, it will toggle the system to run. When the connector gets around and puts it into the breach, it'll untoggle the system. Let's try it. If feeder does break, it will just wait for the next round. Vapor, that's why I use a force load system as well, so I can force load it. So okay. This is the connector contains ammo. Everything else is the same. Let's go ahead and add a pivot. Do that. And let's see if we can actually get this gun to move up and down to simulate what a breach would be in an actual design. Number junction. Need to see if these can actually connect. Yeah, I could do a cleft turret, but my... Oop, that's not the right thing. But my next design, I was planning on going away from the cleft turret. I'm tempted to actually do that, though. Ammo in the turret ring's not a bad idea. Negative 0.23. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, I know why it's not. Because I need a not signal there. Because by default there's no signal coming in, so I need a not there to jumpstart it. Okay. That works. Alright, so now I'm out of ammo in that belt. And it stays in the loaded position because it's not a timer, it's a toggle, so I can automatically just go straight into doing that. Well, okay, next round we want AP. Now I want to go back to frag. The frag. Last frag round, fire. And then nothing's going to load, so it's going to sit there and yell at me until it receives AP. So what is happening is there's 3 junctions down here. By default, the 2 junctions on the side are pushing the shell out as an out to this side, which has nothing connected, so it can't push it. So it's just hitting a dead end. And then the button is not only switching the central junction, but when that initial like load tick comes in, it swaps. I don't even need either of these. I can do both of these. Can't, now that I'm doing this sort of system, I just need a single blinker. But that won't work when I do the swap thing. I'm gonna leave these blinkers here for now. So basically, this is pulling from either side, but this junction is just to push out a single shell. Just let a single shell go into this track system, so that there's no like bunch up here in the. So there's no bunch up in between the gun and the selector. So that way there's not like you have to fire 3 fragmentation before you get to the armor piercing. No, there's only ever 1 round in the system, and it can pull from either magazine. The magazine just lets 1 round out at a time. This is technically a slower autoloader because the bullet travels, but it's not that much slower, and I'm also like, is it worth it for the round selection feature? Because now if I swap, it'll go to... But if I don't do the and signals, then that wouldn't work. Okay. So let's build a full microcontroller. For that, I need 2 out connections. I need a 1 in connection and 2 out connections on top of what's already in here. So this is the selector. This is the type 1 and type 2. And then logic, selector. If this is running and selector is 1 or not selector is the other, then do a pulse. It's from off to on. It goes from off to on. So we can get rid of this logic. So we should just have fire, force feed, okay. Yes, you could do it that way, and that would be better, but also like adds complication. Oh, this needs to be a toggle. So I would have to add a... Could I? Because this gets... Yeah, I could add a... Add an OR. Let me add this. Let me add a push to toggle. And then this one goes from off to on. Output. Gun elevation. So that the gun will return as soon as that round. I can't. I'm not sure if I can do that, Vapor. I'm going to do it, but because it requires the connection for it to feed from the cannon feeder. All right, something's not working. I need to add a capacitor to these. Why is this no longer working? So when it is loading and the selector is selected, sometimes this like game logic doesn't make sense because it's either like half a tick or not half a tick or like fucking... No, I am not IS2. I am very confused by your question, to be honest. What am I missing here? Do I have these set backwards? Am I dumb? Yep. Type 1 should be the not. Alright, let's see if I can avoid all this random logic. Just send a pulse. Hey! I just had the wrong one selected. Yeah, that's the issue. The round is... So I could either put the connector on the bottom of this, on the bottom of the gun, or just do that. I wonder if I could... Let's see if this is actually connected. Yeah, I honestly think the like half second it's going to give me isn't going to be worth it. It's not even like a half second. Pretty sure it's less than that. This will probably be going in like I think my current number is like the 43. The thing is, the gun is ready to fire by the time the breach is closed. Yeah. Like, that extra, like, millisecond doesn't matter because the breach is still closing by that time anyway. Yeah. Yeah, let's do... I want to have the gun just toggle fire. So it's going to fire as soon as it can. Yeah, the gun is level for a few seconds. So even with this big of a gun, let's see if it balances before it. Yeah. These are frag. So the next tank I build, I'm trying to actually avoid a cleft turret just for ammo count. And I still plan on fragmentation being my main round, but I still want to be able to... The reason I'm building this is because I want to be able to have armor piercing and fragmentation. Fragmentation is the main damaging round, and for those armored targets and like critical points, basically being able to set an engine on fire consistently, that's where I want the armor piercing. Okay, that's that gone. So if I go and swap to my next round, this is armor piercing. Alright, I want to change the back from a toggle to button. Push button, let's make it red because it's the fire button. I have battled Fan Jerry. They kicked my butt. I have yet to edit that video because I just got like fucking raffle stomped. Okay, so the next round I want to be armor piercing. So I click that, fire, and now it's going to grab an armor piercing round for me. Currently, there's not multi-crew tanks in the competitions we're hosting. They're 1v1s. Now I want to go back to fragmentation. Screen controls? Honestly, I'm not sure about doing multi-crew tank battles solely because I think in a situation where a single-player tank is versing a multiplayer tank, the single-player tank has the advantage. Like, hands down has the advantage. Because one, with the multi-crew tank, you're trying to cooperate like 4 or 5 members together. Driver, gunner, commander, whatever, are all trying to like communicate and work, and whilst there is the argument of yes, they can all reload, they can all weld, they can all fix things. So while one person's manning the gun, another person can fix the engine, so to say. I think that's the only advantage that I see, whereas someone with a single crew tank can play it much more. I think there's still a level of communication there that'll cause some issues, because if you're doing a single crew tank, the driver is the gunner, so the gunner can anticipate whatever the driver is doing, versus where you have to actually communicate, I'm getting ready to turn left, don't fire, because unless you have the best stabilization system. Yeah, crew space is also another thing of like larger internal is harder to armor. Like, I am planning on making a new tank with, like, this ammo, but currently the Mark 31 is my best tank. I do have other newer, quote-unquote, versions, but right now this is my, like, main MBT. Camera's not on it right now. Yeah, the turret on this is really snappy, because it has a stabilizer. It's not perfect. Yes, I've heard of Koth. I've talked to what I was told was one of the founding members. To which they apologized, because we've had a lot of Koth people coming into the server and just being absolute a-holes lately. Basically being a-holes because we're not Koth. we should be Koth. RWS. Radar warning system? There's like 5 things that RWS can refer to in a tank. Which one are you referring to? Remote weapon system. There we go. I plan to, and here's the thing, Charlie. I plan to make tutorials, but I'm still figuring out the game myself. So, like, this tank has a stabilizer, but it's not, like, an amazing stabilizer. I could make a tutorial on this, but it's also not like fire on the move stabilized. It's more like, I do want to make a tutorial on how I do mouse aim, because there's a few methods that I use mouse aim with, a few different ways of doing it. Probably giving a tutorial for how I do. I've already done a tutorial for the smoke grenades. They don't work as well when you're driving. If you're stationary, they work better. I still absolutely love these smoke grenades. The engine controller, I'm actually really proud of this engine controller. Like, it is just a dream to drive these things. And then you can also just go wee. The mouse aim you use? Isn't that the one where, like, the seat rotates? Jazzy, this is using your mouse aim. The Mark 31 does use your mouse aim. The seat rotates with the turret. And actually, the prototypes I've messed with, the Mark 40, like 40 and 41, that sort of era. Yeah, it is. One of the best things with that design is, even though it is slightly taller, it's 1 block taller just by design. It means that when you're on a hill, your seat is pointed forward. Like, pointed where your turret's pointed. So it stabilizes the camera a lot better. Of course, my cleft turret's causing issues here. But it actually stabilizes the gun a lot better. Because what would happen with the other design is, because the seat is pointed towards the front of the hole, as the hole goes on an incline, if you're, so, say, here's the difference. So if I point my hole at this hill, I point my laser, and then I start to climb, my laser's still pointing roughly the same area. I have to correct a bit, because, of course, I just have to correct. It's just the thing. Your tank's moving. If I take this back to the workbench and I grab a slightly older design, grab the Mark 26. So I'm actually... The Mark 40s I'm planning on making redundant. So the turret ring will work, but it won't be the only horizontal function. So this works just well because we're on a flat terrain. However, if I go to that same little hill, and I point my mouse, as soon as my seat goes up, you see how my turret just goes straight to the floor? Because the seat is in line with the turret, and the X offset is relative to the seat's forward, not the actual pointing position. So as I go up, my turret goes straight to the ground. Which was something you'll notice in a lot of my battles was a problem. If you saw me like slamming my gun into the ground, trying to like aim upwards, was because of this flaw here with this design. And then if I go back, I'm going more for PvP designs show, because the idea is create a competition where players can compete and not only challenge engineering design, but also skill with tank. And because each person's going to play slightly differently or have a different knowledge set, you're going to naturally generate different tanks. Instead of people going, oh, I want to remake the Leopard and spend like 10 hours looking at like pictures trying to nail it down to the detail, build a tank that you like. Build a tank that works for you, that follows your design philosophy. So instead of trying to recreate something, you just make your own thing. And like the STRV 103, which is a tank that I love, that was built to their doctrine, was built to what they had expected to see in war. So as you create your own tank, you create your own doctrine, your own, I guess, systems. Like for my tanks, I like the cleft turret design because it's so simple. But some people prefer a different system. This is just the system I prefer. I'm planning on moving away from it because I have seen some flaws with this design, but that's the thing. It's iteration, it's design, it's engineering, it's testing, it's putting ideas to battle and seeing how they work. And then, here real quick, I just want to show this again. The comparison between this and the Mark 26. Doing this test one more time as my tank increases, because the seat is pointed with the turret. I don't have that just random nose down issue. Like I've built tanks with more realistic designs before. If I go back to, I think like the Mark 20, Mark 15. Yeah, my tank has a lot of armor. This tank should frontally take heavy autocannon easily. Battle cannon, somewhat. There are some weak points, especially in the turret face. The turret on this is not the most armored thing ever. We're using this kind of armor. Or at least this is the armor that this tank uses. Just look at those sexy front plates. And then, of course, these plates are also built into the side of the tank. There's a few in the back. Not as many. There's just like one or two to help with the engine protection. There's some plating on the side of the turret. This one didn't work out too well. I do actually want to return to this because this is the intent of the video. I will go over armor. That's also something that I want to do a tutorial on. So this would work amazingly as a cleft turret design, and I may actually turn it into just a cleft turret design. And what I may do with a cleft turret design is to help with... So one of the issues with cleft turret design is ammo capacity. So instead of doing what the Mark 20s, or this one, Mark 31, where it has this like second section, I may make the cleft turret only have like 5 of each round in it. With, like I did on the Mark 26, where there's whole ammo. There's ammo inside the hole that I press a button, it puts the turret into a loading position and reloads the upper section. Or I could just make the turret taller and add more ammo on top of here. There's a lot of things I could do with this design. To be honest. I think hole mounted ammo, because what I could actually do is have the engine back here and then have just a little bit extra on the back to have ammo at the very back of the tank, which not only would supply some armor to the turret, or to the engine I should say, but also means I could put the connector like right here at the back of the thing, back of the turret. Actually, I wouldn't want to do that. I wonder if I could just do something like this. That actually works. Now, it does mean that I can't, like, move the gun there. But to have something that could just pop out of the turret, pop out of the hole, and connect just like that would be amazing. Say... But yeah, combined arms, I would like to do some sort of combined arms where it's like, okay, tanks, maybe planes in the future, artillery, something like that, where it's like 4 or 5 people versus 4 or 5 people, where you could have, say, 2 MBTs, an artillery, an anti-air, and a plane. That, or plane or helicopter, so some sort of aircraft. Oh, ships doing... Yeah, I wouldn't want to do water, though. I think keeping, like, ground and air... Let's just say 4. 4 doesn't have anything on it right now. So, for example, in combat, fire last round, press 4, and just do that, and then you're getting reloaded from the hole, and then when you're done, you just tuck that away, and... Also, having that on the joint means I can just smack it out of the way if I do need to. But the turret still gets hung up on it, so being able to tuck it would be nice. And then aiming backwards would be a bit of an issue, but you could also tuck that better than what I've done there. It's having it fold away, and then when it's time, being able to pull it, grab ammo out. STRV 2000? I'm not sure which one that is. Rail slider, yes, but then how is it going to connect? So what you could do, say if you did a rail slider... Track slider. Let's just say here. And then... there. I'd rather not move the entire ammo pool, just because that's a lot of weight. Could do something like this. And then this would be the other connector. So right now it's supposed to be tucked away. Okay, there it goes. So, okay, it's tucked away, and then I need ammo. Why is it not moving? Oh, because I didn't hook it up, that's why. There we go. Did I mess this up? I did, didn't I? On value should be positive. Okay, I did mess that up. So by default, it's tucked below the armor. And then I press 4 and it pops up. I can hook my turret to it and then go back down. Okay. This is a concept. I'm going to save this. But we were talking about armor earlier. The best way to build armor that we have found so far looks something like this. So if we go symmetry, I'm going to grab just the normal block. And let's say we need the plate to be this wide. What you want to do is put these at the corners. And the, say, bottom corner is usually best. And you want to make sure the wedge is pointed at the block you don't want to attach to. So each one of these is going to be its own layer. So this is a base layer, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers of armor. And from here, you can build plates. So that should be a plate, that should be a plate. And the actual, like, placement order does matter in this sort of setup. And this should spawn not as intended. Okay. These are kind of finicky, to be blunt. So let's try it differently. Essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to trick the game into attaching the points that you are telling it to. Where it thinks the most efficient thing to do is to make them one solid piece. And once again, this one didn't work. Honestly, a lot of it's trial and error so far. But you can also give it some challenges. Like if you... Here, let me delete these. So this is our base plate. I'm just going to paint this gray so I don't have to worry about deleting it by accident. So I want it to think that making this a solid plate is the best idea. And for that, I'm going to use these and these. The problem is it may want to make this center chunk just a long chunk. So a slightly thinner plate may be more effective. Actually, what I'll do is after deleting these, I'm going to put a wedge up here. Yeah, this is just being finicky. No, not in that sense. So what StormWorks tries to do is it tries to take a big vehicle and simplify it in the most efficient way. And it does that by cutting it up into layers and different sections. And what you need to do is trick the game into creating the layers you want it to. This one didn't work. And unfortunately, I wish there was a science, like a direct science behind this. But so far, we are not at that level. It's still wanting to make the center a single chunk. So, Charlie, you can do something specifically like that, and we usually use the rails for that. But this one is a bit different because it does allow you to put wedges as like a part of the build. So if I do this, it still wants to make that one plate. These become separate, but it still wants to make that one plate there a part of it. So I'm going to try and trick it. By making this a bigger section. So now when I spawn it, nope, it's still doing it. Oh, I know what I can do. I can place this one. And then do this one, I believe. There we go. So now that's a separate plate. Because the game has decided, hey, it's easier to try and make all of these into a single chunk than break it into like 3 or 4 chunks. I can make 2 shapes that have just simple slopes on them, instead of trying to divvy these up into like 3 or 4 different chunks. So then if I want to do this one, I can do that. And then this. And for this one, I'm going to leave it. But for this one, I am going to see if I can... There we go. These are all different layers now. And if you do it properly, I'm going to delete this layer. Whenever you incorporate a wedge into it, it will actually cut that wedge into those layers as well. So now you have a nice solid front of your tank that is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers. This can stop a battle cannon. If anything hits that front plate, battle cannon stop. Now, of course, as you go up that wedge, it will get weaker, but you could just make this like a block or 2 thicker. And like I was saying before, you can pretty easily incorporate different things to this. So instead of this front plate, let's see if I make... See if I can make it disconnect this front and back plate. So that I can put a wedge here instead. There. No, it did actually connect. It just smoothed that side out so much more. Let's see. Yeah, it's still trying to put that front wedge as part of it, which isn't a problem. You could easily incorporate that into the design. Using tracks instead of wheels? Oh, tracks. Okay. Let me grab a tank that uses tracks as my armor. So real quick, in impractical, what this armor looks like is this. So this is the Mark 31 with this armor. That's the turret cheeks, and then without the... You can see they're all different layers. And then this whole front, you can see it's all different layers as well. And it actually goes back into the armor a bit. And then even on the side skirt, and then the side hole has some armor. E. Okay. Let's go to the track one. Let's grab what tank has track armor. The Mark 26 has track armor, but I think the best way to actually show some of the issues with track armor is the Mark 24, because it actually is broken. So if we take this into the menu, you can see this has the layer. This has track armor. These are two different entities that are layered on top of each other to create the armor, and the same thing is happening here in the hole. One issue with the track armor is you can't put them against like wheels and stuff, because if these tracks rub against this track armor, it will bug out. So you have to have a spacer layer. So if I take this in and look at it, you'll see it has some of the same layering, which is pretty good. This is a lot more consistent, but you completely lose the ability to like incorporate wedges into it well. This turret, you can see it does have wedges, but it's because I'm using the one block wedges. I'm using on one layer. If I tried to do anything with like a more complex wedge, like for example this is going to be attached to this second block, not the first, only the second. And there's no way to make smoother shapes with this design. This is more consistent, but it increases lag, can't have as good a shape, and it creates an issue that the Mark 24 severely struggles with, and that is patching. Because these are considered two different bodies, they can snag on each other. Which is really prevalent if you have that track glitch I mentioned before, where if the track is brushing up against the armor, it will start to... if the track is bunching up against the armor, it will start to cause the armor to like pivot and move. And if those armors snag, it can cause some physics issue, which is what killed this tank entirely. So if I turn too fast, there, the armor snagged. You can watch it pop out sometimes of the front plate. That was just the gun snagging. I'm going to delete this gun so it doesn't damage this demonstration. Snub nose Abrams. And when I actually tried to take this tank to battle, I could not aim it, because when I would turn, you'd see that armor pops up on the front and it gets a little snagged there, and then that's what the physics does. It causes it to like recoil and like bend and shift, and the tank should... There you go. I can't even turn right now because the armor is snagging. The plates are getting caught on each other. There you go. You really see it that bad. And so what that means is either you run that risk in combat, or you do like I did with the tracks and you just have a giant weak spot here where you can't have any layered armor. It's not as bad when it's on this like outer edge, but when that's the gap between your hull and turret and you can't have armor in like a single layer line right here, that's a problem. Spread correction, it is a range. So the idea is you could range to a target, what, that's 800, so, or 900, so I'd aim at the lowest one. So if I wanted to hit that there, that's 9.4. So I'd aim there. And say I had a target 360. Let's grab a point that's easy to identify. Right there, 400. So I'd go to that green dot. And if I put targets, try this out here. Yeah, there my armor snagged and it just turned my tank. I was not even touching the keyboard when that happened. There it goes again. Let's go right there where it gets bright. That's for 4.6, so right about there. A little higher. There you go. Of course, the spread on this gun is awful, so... Anyway, yeah, that's what the sights are on this. They're 200 markers, so the top one should be 200. If I just go and aim, say right at the top of that. It's like 2 something, so I can go to 50. E. Just pick that little point there. 950, so Charles, they're worse than World War II guns. They are fucking like World War I / intermediate war like levels of gun. From the testing I've done, I forget what the actual thing was. But I think it's like the modern day Rheinmetall, like what's in the Abrams, is something like 3 centimeters off at 1,000 yards. Like 3 centimeters deviation at 1,000 yards. Versus what these are, which is like entire meters off at 1,000 yards. Like, these guns have a fucking spread of, I'd have to guess, like 5 to 10 meters. Yeah, you lose about a meter of accuracy. Yeah, I could see that. You lose about a meter of spread every 100 meters. But, like, the actual gun in the Abrams is only supposed to be, I think, like 3 centimeters deviation at 1,000 meters. I think was the actual statistic for it that they provide, because you can just buy the Rheinmetall cannons. I've heard 2 arguments as to why the guns are so awful. One was saying it's because they were meant for ships, and ships are big targets, and your guns don't have to be accurate with a big ship. And then there's my personal argument, which is I think they balanced the guns against the AI. They nerfed the guns because they didn't want the AIs to be laser accurate. So by making the guns inaccurate, the AIs are inaccurate. And it also kind of prevents you from sniping the AIs from across the map. Because they only have a set spawn range. So in a PvP battle, you can be way outside that spawn range and still fire at each other. But with an AI, it just comes into range a little bit outside of a battle cannon's like semi-effective range. And once you're there, if it's a accurate cannon, the AI would just look at you and just pew, fire. And I don't think the devs understand that armor exists. No, I'm saying I feel like they, in order to make the AI less accurate, they made the guns less accurate. But part of me thinks they balance the guns around the AIs, either making the guns inaccurate so the AIs wouldn't be accurate, or making the guns inaccurate so you couldn't just snipe the AIs outside of their render range. Oh yeah, L3 tank it. I've used the AI for some like armor testing, and also trying to see how accurate my missiles are at range. I would shoot them at some of the boats and stuff. Also, just to see. Is this fired up? It's really quiet, so I forget. Yeah, it is. Also to like test my missiles against moving targets a lot, I would use the AIs, but that's about it. I do it against the weapons AI because I think their boats and stuff spawn a bit quicker. I think some of them might have countermeasures and stuff too, so it's also like good to test just thing that is meant for combat versus thing that is meant for combat rather than someone in their Jeep. Also, I still absolutely love this tiny L3. This L3 is literally engine, seat, logic. Oh, and there's like a gun tucked in here somewhere. Oh no, it's only a light autocannon. Like this cannot hurt any of the MBTs we were working with. It would get basically just laughed at and then murdered. Oh, here's some of the other like you can just use wedges entirely to make these as well. To make those plates. But if you actually do use proper blocks, they can be better. So for this, let's symmetry this. See if we can real quick just build a nice outer plate. And this we could plate up to here. This one. And I'm going to completely selection grid this. Let's do copy. Let's see if this did it. Nope. That failed horribly. I wonder if as soon as I put a wedge on this, though, if it'll... The answer is, once again, no, it will not. Nice. So that was a total failure. Alright, that spawns as a layer. I wish they would just add an armor block that would make these plates by themselves rather than us players having to do it. I want to see something. Because I know controllers. Let me grab a big one. Fire control system. I know these are considered blocks, but will they be cut up the same way? Yes, they will. Okay. I was trying to see if there's like a block that can't be cut by the way the game divides up physics blocks. Hey, now I'm curious about something. Okay, that can define... well... Okay, so it wants to cut that into multiple pieces. Okay. Not what I was intending. Now, what if I did this, though? This one worked. Oh, nope. No, it didn't. Never mind. Okay. Sometimes these are just weird. I want to load up my armor testing bench real quick so I'm not just like spamming stuff on. I think I burnt my tongue earlier. I'm gonna grab myself a drink. I'll be right back. I'm curious if there's a block that the game just might refuse to cut up in some sort of way. Because the thing is, you can't place anything on top of this throttle. Do equipments get cut? Okay, that's kind of promising. But I doubt it'll stay that way when I do this. No, didn't cut it. Okay, this became a full plate. Let's say, for example, I want to add this to it. Okay, that's smoothed out. Okay, those don't attach to the fronts by default. So let's just make... Let's see, are these considered full blocks or do they have a corner on them? They're full blocks. We're messing with armor designs at the moment, Dragon. So let's see. If I want to make a 1 wide armor piece, I do this. If I wanted to make it 2, 3. Then 4. 5. I don't want these to try and merge, so it'd have to be offset. Okay. Where's that one? Oh. This one's backwards. Still wants to alienate that one. I do that. If I do this, will it still try and... Okay, it will do that. Can I make 4 as 2 of these other wedges? I wonder. No, that makes it worse. Charlie, part of the reason that we have size limitations. Okay, so order at which you place it really does make a difference. Like, really, holy. I want to try and build that exact same thing. Just do it what I would consider to be improperly. See if that breaks it. No? Alright. I wonder if there's a height limit to this. Or it's just like, yeah, no, we're not gonna continue connecting and we'll just make a giant brick. Can I do this? Will this break it? No. Push it to its limits. Still no. And then if we say do wedge. All right, let's see if we make just a really wide one of these. What's like the limit? Okay. Now let's see if we were to just... Alright, so that's 8. And here's what I want to know now. If I do this, let's break it. No. Yeah, rainbow armor. Yeah, this was an early form of this composite armor. When I tested this, it actually didn't work, and it's just because there's so many gaps in here. But this actually being plated does work. So let's see like what the extreme is I can get out of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Will this fail? No. Okay. I want to see what I'm trying to find the. I'm actually trying to find the breaking point of this. Let's go ahead with this one. We already know this one works. Let's delete it and rebuild it. See if it still functions. And no, it does not. So let's do... Okay. It appears that from what I've tested, it only affects the block that it impacts. The problem is the speed at which you'd have to... I wouldn't send even a weight block. Like, honestly, just a missile impact itself could do damage. But if you're shooting something like that, you could just strap an HE to it. I'm not sure if... Mach 2 kinetic missile. Yeah. I could see that being a bit broken. Especially considering I had to ban ramming because someone built a tank that was designed for ramming. They hit me and they destroyed like every single component on my tank in a single shot. I want to build one that will fail, that I know will fail. A build order is extremely significant here. Problem with kinetic guns that are not official DLCs, the rounds slow down too fast. Honestly, 1 kilometer is not bad considering we're only engaging at like. So I've actually considered making rocket munitions solely for the fact that guns are so inaccurate, and rocket ammunition actually is really accurate. Flies pretty straight. It's bad when a just rocket on the side of your tank is more accurate than your gun is. Okay, that was a critical failure. It's from the third layer back. That's 5 layers. So 1, 2. Yeah, it is. We kind of finished the original purpose pretty quickly though. Real quick, I want to see if I can, if I make this from the start to be this thick, is it easier? How thick is this? It's 5 inside. We're experimenting with armor at the moment. Trying to test and understand the reliability of this armor concept. Okay. This one completely failed. Okay. So this one is a failure. Let's see if I do the exact same thing with these. So these different layers, the game actually calculates as different collisions. So it's really only effective with like AP, really. But if you do it right, which I still can't get these to do, you can get this. So essentially, if a bullet hits this front thing, it goes, oh, I hit a block. And then there's this gap. Oh, I hit a block. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the 6th layer. That's the last layer a battle cannon will damage. This layer will never get damaged by a battle cannon. So, I've already kind of talked about this, Riley. I've used that before, and it is a very simple method to do it, but there is, how they are placed matters. So even if they're the same block orientation, how they are placed matters. So are you saying, like, which side of this block, if I'm touching the side or the bottom, matters? So if I'm touching this or this? Another good thing with these types, Riley, I'm not sure which one that is you can actually incorporate slopes into them. Slopes will be taken into these bodies as well, which is something you can't do with the other ones. Okay, yeah, I can understand that, the whole only facing north. But so far in my testing, at least with some new, like, information, I've been able to get some pretty reliable designs. So let's say, for example, I'm going to do 6 sides of the same thing. And I think a lot of my fronts are, let's actually look at my tank fronts. Let's go with the Mark 31 just because we want armor that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wide. 9 wide. And I'm also going to do it 9 wide in every direction, just because I can. So I'm going to use these to first grab 1, 2, and 6 thick. So that this way it can take... Actually, I need to put the 6 off in the front. Okay, this one broke. So let's see if we can redo this one. All of these worked. I think it may have just been the way I placed it broke something. Okay. I haven't seen anyone actually take those to battle yet. Okay, this direction does not like plates. So let's see if we can mess with this. I could, of course, make it just like that one over there, but... I have done a few mixed setups. Great. That's also what I'm testing here. Alright, that worked. Alright, so now let's see if I can put my front slope on it. So these all need 2. And we'll grab a wedge. Yeah. So these all took. Here's the thing, is like I haven't outright banned Berthas, but I'm pretty sure they only have HE and frag. Frag actually is damaging, so I'm not sure if I've outright banned the Bertha. I think it should be. I wouldn't use Bertha. And I don't want to have to add that to the rules. I probably will. If it isn't already there. I know in the video I said like the Bertha's out, but technically it doesn't have a fragmentation round. Save this. I am going to load up real quick the ammo selector that we were messing with. And this is what it looks like so far. So if we fire, it'll grab fragmentation from one side. But if we press this little switch, it'll instead start grabbing the AP instead. I am concerned if I do this and then switch, it will grab... Yeah. I don't know the exact angle, but the number is -23, -0.23. So just under 45 degrees. So yeah, about 35-ish. Oh, it's completely out of ammo. Now, if I did this with a... Worth it off to the side, yeah, it would be better to go back to 0 degrees. But some tanks actually don't go to 0 degrees. They'll go to like 5 or 10 degrees. They'll point the barrel up slightly. Because the autoloader will come to the gun. Whereas this one, the gun comes to the autoloader. Now I could do something like that. And then what I need to do is do belts. One of the things that still frustrates me with these connectors, you see how that has one dash on it, which is like 1, and then this has 2 dashes on it for 2? The game pulls from the number 2 side first. Don't ask me why. That's just how it is. Okay. It's so this side is 1. This side is 2. This side is active. And I didn't put a feeder on this. You put a feeder on this one. Non-traverse autoloader. If you put the switcher on the gun, will it simplify the logic? So one of the big design constraints with this, and I'm not sure if I could simplify the logic with this design constraint in mind, is this is supposed to be able to instantly swap between the two. So I go, okay, I need AP. I click button, I fire what's in my gun, and then the AP gun gets loaded. That's the next shot I'm going to fire is going to be AP. And I can do the same again, fire, or swap, fire, and it'll reload whatever I had selected. And that's what these junctions are doing. I'm not sure if there's a way I could simplify this without adding complexity in another way. It would need a lot of space inside the turret, and it's also another part that can be damaged because you need some sort of pivot or rail, and that's a part that can be damaged. Whereas this, it's the gun's traverse is what's being used. If the gun's traverse is broken, the gun's already broken. I should be fixing that. And then if I do have a redundant gun elevation traverse, then it's a single part that redundant, and a single part that could break, and a single part that I have to worry about. But as soon as you start adding that complexity to the autoloader, I feel like that's more of an issue than my gun having to go to a 0 point to reload. And that, and the sheer weight of the artillery, trying to get that to move to a 0 point to reload is just very troublesome. Something I have also considered is I did a little concept here where the idea is keeping the cleft turret autoloader design, but having, like I've done with my autocannons, having some sort of, okay, I press button and then I put turret into loading position and then it just loads the cleft turret. And then when I'm done, I press that button, it goes away. So that way I can't snag my gun on it by accident like I can here. So I can snag my gun on it. But I can drop it so I can't snag on it. And it's time to reload, put gun in position, do that, and then it just goes bzzz and loads, then goes away. And I could put this all to a button where I press a button, that pops up, and the turret snaps into position to load, and then that goes down, turret goes back to my controls. Put the ammo along the hole. The hole is already... This is as low profile I can get. Because literally I have a ceiling, a floor, and a seat. This is as low profile as I can get with this sort of turret design. I've gone shorter, but that's like tracks and stuff. External autoloader can be vulnerable, but it is at the back of my armor. And which also means my breach can be further back. Which means it's protected better. Having seats on their sides is not a good idea for me because I use mouse control. Great. My hole is also 4 blocks tall. And my turret is 3. Yeah, this is mouse aiming. Yeah, my seat's connected to the turret. With this design, yeah. Some of my other ones, the seat was connected to the hole. However, those have issues, and I think I'm going to be changing to this kind of concept more permanently. I use it right now as a laser pointer. Eventually, it will actually laser range find. It's also because this tank isn't finished, Grape. So, I've only had one tank where I put laser on target, and then I can fire and it'll auto, like, elevate for that. I have done a few where it's like, okay, put laser on, I get range, and then on my camera I have a scale where I can go, okay, that's 600 meters, I need to aim there. I don't do variation. Well, I haven't done variation correction in a bit, just because I think other components need to be optimized first before that, because that the range at which a lot of engagements are taking place. I actually know a few people, because we were talking about it the other night, a few people have worked with range or variation correction. Seat time? That's actually something I had brought up earlier, Grape, was like, that's one of the things I want to encourage with these tank battles, is just that, like, people will design their own vehicles, and as a result, they'll be custom tailored to them and their doctrine, their playstyle, their so on and so forth. like how all my tanks have cleft turrets just because I like them. They're simple, they're easy, they're robust. And that's great. I do want to actually like make some tutorials soon. That's on my like soon to-do list. Like how armor is built, how armor works, how different like turret designs can work, how like different turret solutions, whether I prefer mouse aiming. Others may disagree, but that's to them. But at the end of the day, doing these battles is getting more people into tanks and getting that seat time, I guess, that they need. I guess it's one of those things of like, is the amount of experience that a tanker has gatekeeping, or is it just they're good at it? It's one of those things of like, putting it in perspective, like esports, people are like professionals at the game. And I think some of that grape is... I've seen a few people to be like, yeah, I've been hanging out with XY person, like, that's been building tanks, and they've been showing me some stuff. Having I guess, a sort of... a level of... What's the word I'm looking for? A level of apprenticeship, I guess. I was saying that I've seen a lot of different people. I'm not sure what word I should use for it, but kind of like being an apprentice under another more experienced tank builder that's showing them, hey, this is the armor that I use, this is the thing that I use. And that's been pretty good. just seeing people pass around ideas to each other within the community itself, like, oh, you're new, here's one of my tanks, here's how the armor works, here's how the gun works, here's how this works. Actually letting people look at your vehicle and how it works, like during a battle, after a battle. Which isn't something that I've been showing in videos, but usually there's like 45 minutes to an hour of us just ripping each other's tanks apart to see what's inside it. The thing that I'm trying to avoid is a situation where someone's like, I need to build this. Can you just give me your drive controller? Can I use your drive controller? It's good. Instead of learning how to build a drive controller or asking how to make a drive controller, they'll just grab it from another person's tank because it's there and it works. It's the thing of like having people sharing, here's how I made mine, now go make yours, versus here, have mine. Make what a rule? Don't copy, reverse engineer. So, do you think it should be like a red team, blue team sort of thing? That wouldn't be a bad idea. So, The idea would be you'd have like red team, blue team, green team, whatever, like 3 or 4 teams. Give the leadership of that team to a veteran of the community who can show people how they build their tanks. So that as these battles go on, the reputation of the different teams would define, I guess, you want to show the people in your team better ways to make tanks so that so on and so forth. I'm also just trying to think how to set that up and also not have an issue of like who is the leaders of that team. Would it be a specific individual? Would they create their owns? Or would they just kind of be nameless factions of like purple, blue, green? Where everyone who is in the purple faction is just the purple faction. But the concept of this is a group, this is a faction, they would push to help others in the group just so that that faction has more battles, more wins, more. And rather than having a specific leader, it'd just be a thing of those that are veteran in the game being a part of one of those factions would help that faction. if I end up doing any sort of like competitions, like say any sort of competitions, just having like the winning tank, but also the winning faction. And that would also work well if we end up doing a combined arms thing where we could get 2 or 3 people from a faction together to do a multiplayer match where there's like 3 people on one side, 3 people on the other. Ten points to Gryffindor. I need to actually like sit down and revise the rules and go into more detail with some stuff, because there's some confusion like what is and isn't allowed, like a detailed here's what blocks and items are not allowed. Squibs. Oh, squadron battles. Yeah, and I could easily, one of the things that this has that StormWorks doesn't is I can just spectate a match. I'll make a to-do list. I love that I can just drift in a tank. I'm out of ammo. Oops. I may actually end the stream here soon. Because right now it looks like you're the only one watching, and I kind of finished the whole autoloader thing, what, like 2 hours, 3 hours ago almost. I had an idea going into the stream what I wanted to do. And then I did it. And then we started messing with armor and other stuff. So I'm actually going to go ahead and end the stream here. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for sticking around. Until next time.